super cheap fragrances for women that smell expensive. So there are the fragrances that you can get for like $400, and then there are fragrances that you can get for under $100 that still smell really, really good. So all the fragrances, as usual, will be available down in the Amazon associate links down in the description below. I'm going to start with one of my favorite affordable fragrances, which is Le Mans from Coty. Every time I mention this, I always have to say that it smells super similar to Chanel No. 5. This was actually created only a few years after Chanel No. 5 in 1927. Chanel No. 5 came out in 1921. So this was actually created in response to Chanel No. 5. And it has many of the same notes. It's a floral aldehyde fragrance. It has, the amber, the aldehydes, many of the same florals. The only difference is that this doesn't have the same musky notes that Chanel No. 5 has. It doesn't have like the civet and things like that in it. So it's a little bit lighter. Longevity is not as great as Chanel. Chanel No. 5 is more like a 7-hour fragrance. This is more like a 4-hour fragrance. But the big thing is the difference in price. Like Chanel No. 5 is like a $90-ish fragrance, while this is more like $20. You get roughly the same size bottle. Smells very, very similar. Also, this is a bit more powdery than Chanel No. 5, but besides that, they're almost identical. They're very, very similar. So this is definitely a nice floral feminine option for those who don't want to spend too much money, and it still smells really luxurious, actually. More so than you would expect. But plus you get this cool kind of Art Deco bottle, which I always like. But yeah, this is a great option for those who want something light and floral with a little bit of powderiness and some classic feminine scents. Then, if you want something completely the opposite of this, really, really strong, then I would say, this is one of my favorites, Youth Dew from Estee Lauder. This I got for $30. It's about a $30 fragrance. It is one of the strongest fragrances I've ever smelled. This came out in 1953. It is an older fragrance, but I think if you're into musky, spicy fragrances, this will work. It doesn't matter if it's 2024 or 1953. This is going to work out. This is a delicious, spicy fragrance. It has cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg thrown in there, resins, balsams, basically every intense note you could think of. Woody notes. It has some florals, like, roses. Just super intense. Definitely not for the weak of heart. But it's very luxurious smelling. And you don't need a lot. You don't need to put on a lot because it is so strong, just a few sprays, and it's really nice. The thing about it as well is that all those really intense notes that it has, they kind of balance out over time. As it dries down, it becomes more powdery, more like a musky powderiness, which is very unique, actually. And it does have a nice sweetness from the vanilla note as well that it has. But this is definitely a really, really nice option for the evening or cold weather. I always say this is a very nice autumn to Christmas type of fragrance because of all those spice notes that it has with the nutmeg and things like that. It has a very Christmassy smell to it. But very, very luxurious here for those looking for spicy and or musky scents. Then, for a more floral type of option, then I would say Red Door from Elizabeth Arden. This definitely has a very nice, it's casual, but it still has that kind of upper class aura to it. It's all florals. There's like 20 or 30 floral notes in there. The roses, the lilies, the lily of the valley, pretty much everything you could imagine. Plus a honey note, which is always nice for some extra sweetness to it without being too crazy sweet. The thing I like about it the most is that it has a certain powderiness, which makes it feel very clean, very feminine, that sort of thing. Surprisingly long-lasting. I would say minimum longevity 6.5 to 7 hours. It's longer lasting than you would expect from this type of floral fragrance, which is very nice. so you don't have to reapply it all the time. And this is obviously just a classic scent in general. Pretty much everyone knows about Red Door, but not too many people wear it anymore. You know, they kind of diss it, saying, you know, oh, it's an old fragrance. It's just a nice fragrance. I don't see the whole deal about, you know, ditching a fragrance just because it's gotten older. This is just a nice go-to option for the daytime. Again, it's more casual, but it still has that kind of upper class sort of smell to it. A little bit French, a little bit New Yorker, like Manhattan style, you know. It's just nice. It's just a nice sort of fragrance. And it's about $40 to $50, so again, under $100. Pretty affordable, but still pretty luxurious. Now, if you want something that is very different from that, then I would say Obsession from Calvin Klein. This is another older fragrance, but it works really, really well. The price on this is, I think, is about $50, $50 to $60. I love this. This is, now, some people draw some similarities between this and Youth Dew, but I would say Youth Dew is more spicy, and this is more animalistic and woodsy. Super strong musk notes, super strong woodsy notes. This is, again, another one. If you're used to light floral fragrances, this will not be for you. But if you do like those heavier notes, then you will most likely really enjoy this. It's just a very bold fragrance. It's a powerful fragrance. Very nice for the autumn and winter, or just, you know, evening wear in general. Definitely more of an evening fragrance. But the nice thing about it, even though it is very intense and has those animalistic notes and things like that, it does actually dry down to a certain powderiness, which is very pleasant. So I guess a little bit similar to Youth Dew, it dries down to that kind of musky powderiness, which is very pleasant. It has that feminine nature mixed with the bolder notes. So, and longevity on this is crazy. It's like 10 hours, you know. This will not leave your skin once you put it on. So, very good option if you're looking for longevity as well. Now, the last option is arguably the most intense, or at least one of the most intense, which is Taboo by Dana. This is more of a pure incense type of fragrance. This is something it smells mysterious. It smells like a smoldering, smoky cabaret sort of thing. It's also very resinous, you know, those incense notes mixed with like the amber and the other resins. Very, very strong. It also has some spice notes. This is, again, one of those more particular fragrances. You have to really, really like this type of fragrance to enjoy it. So if you do enjoy incense and resins and things like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't enjoy this. And this is about a $20 fragrance. And interestingly, even though it is an eau de cologne, as you could probably see there, eau de cologne, you know, they're usually pretty weak. They don't last very long because they have a lower concentration of perfume oil. Not in this case. Even though it is a cologne, very, very strong because of the notes that it has. Longevity is probably around 7 hours, maybe even 8. But definitely long-lasting, powerful, intense. You don't want to overspray this. You'll get a horrible headache. But when sprayed in moderation, very, very nice, very smoky, kind of seductive and mysterious. So, and again, about $20. So a pretty good deal. So that is pretty much my list of cheap fragrances that smell more expensive, more luxurious. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, you could leave a like or you subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.